Hello, my name is Tim Lehealy, and in this video we're going to be talking about the 2019 April release of Quincy. We're going to do our normal release video here. We're going to talk about the key features, and then we're going to do a quick demo. At high level, numbers look like this, where there were 10 changes, 30 new features, and about 85 bug fixes. The key features, we think anyway, lay out like this. The red ones, by the way, are the ones I'm going to demo, but all of them are, I think, reasonably significant. Simple review is one of the most important. We have some improvements to the coding panel, the ability to use QView offline. This is really exciting. We added some pretty cool slip sheet and branding capabilities. We added a mobile widget to follow on from the internet widget we added last release. Generic QView improvements. We added browser history in the agent for our enterprise product, Dimisto integration, Apple file system, the gathering of deleted and encrypted files, and then 3 additional connectors. So I got a few slides here on the key features we're going to demo today. So let me go through them. First, the simple review, which is, I think, maybe it's the best feature in this release. I don't know. There's a bunch of cool stuff in this release. But in any event, it's meant to be a very clean, very simple linear review interface. And by linear review, I don't mean sort of one document at a time. There's still searching capability here. There's still filtering capability. But I mean, if you will, a linear progression through the investigation. Very sort of straightforward logic, nothing overly complex. You can see the interface starts out with a summary dashboard. It then goes to a case dashboard, which gives you overview information about the case or cases. And then finally, it gives you a simple interface to review data in. The next feature we're going to talk about here is the mobile widget. The mobile widget again follows on from our internet widget, which is our 2 sort of data source specific widgets. And this is meant to sort of organize and present mobile information from a mobile device in a really organized, simple, straightforward way. So you can see there are tabs for accounts, apps, calls, chats, blah, 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 a whole bunch of them across the screen. And then within each tab, we try to present that information as best as possible. Finally, we have the ability to take QView offline, and by that I mean completely disconnect it from the Quincy architecture. So you could bring it into court, you could bring it on a plane, you could do all this kind of stuff to continue your investigation without having to be connected to the Quincy server. Ultimately, when you're done with that investigation, the offline investigation, you can resync the changes you made to the database with the Quincy server, and then you're sort of happy, and back in line. So those are the key features we're going to show. I'm going to actually show them in reverse order because the final feature, the simple review, requires a log out, log in. So let's start off with the grid, or with the QView syncing and exporting. To do that, we come to our grid, come into the grid, open the grid, however you want to say it. Let me do that. And we right-click anywhere in the grid. And that opens up our right-click menu, which gives us access to the QView options. There used to just be open download. Now you can see we've got export data or sync changes. We're going to export data. It offers us to export in one of 3 ways, or based on one of 3 filters. We can export the entire case based on a label or checked items. I'm just going to do checked items. I'm just going to check 1, make it simple. We can load from a template if we want to, but we'll just go ahead and click around and do it all manually. We want to export to a path. If we don't choose the path, it will export to the case file. But for the sake of the demo, let's export to a path. we're going to do C exports, and then I believe I have an offline folder here. Yeah. So we're going to choose that as our target destination. We need to export certain columns. We can do that by column group. These are column groups, the same thing you see in the quick filter here, or in the quick columns. We can open up and we'll see them all here. So if we want to export all mobile call columns, so that might be call duration, call from, call to, call time, those type of columns. We can also pick whatever columns we want. You can see all sort of 900 or 1,443, excuse me, are offered, but we can choose any one of them or none of them. We can also export custom columns if this case has any custom columns. The case doesn't, so let's just go ahead and click export. It gives you this warning to tell you that this could take quite a lot of time depending on your bandwidth and how much data you're exporting. Remember, the system actually has to export every file you clicked on. So if you clicked on 1,000 files and you have really bad bandwidth, this is going to be torture. It could take forever. But that's not the case here. We just clicked on one. So we'll go ahead and go OK. It says export has begun, and we could go check the job status if we wanted to see the state of it, but I know this is going to be darn near instantaneous. So let's just come straight into our C drive. We've got exports here, and then we called it offline. There we go. And there's our data. There's a database there and an index, and it will have any files that we exported as well. When we're done doing our investigation offline, we can then right-click on the grid again, and we just sync changes. What's the target case we want to sync to, and go ahead and find the database that we want to sync from, and then we would sync, and then we'd be back in line with what the server has. So that's how that works. Let's now jump into the mobile widget. The mobile widget is, again, our second data source specific widget. And you can see it's going to open up to all the different sort of key criteria or key attributes that we might expect to have associated with mobile evidence. The apps on the phone, any calls on the phone. And you see when we click calls, it opens the social analyzer, so we can, if we want to see the communications, the to's and the froms, we can open it here and click on any node, and it will give us that information, the to and the from stuff. Same with calls, same, well, we can click on chats because it's just compelling to look at it, to be honest. But this is all the interactions of the chats that we have in our environment. And again, we could see them based on how the chat flowed by just clicking on one of these nodes. We also have all of these different things, Wi-Fi networks, locations if there are any. And you can see in this data set there are in fact locations, so they've been plotted on the map, and we can use the shift zoom feature if we want to zoom down on any set of the objects, whatever. We can also filter by date if we wanted to do shift on the timeline and pick a specific column or group of columns that would filter the data set as well. So a pretty new widget. There's a lot of maturing we want to do here over the next coming months, but I think it's a good first step for us in terms of presenting mobile data in a friendlier way for investigators. The last widget I want to show you is the simple review widget, which you can open here in the desktop mode, same as you could any widget. But what is special about the simple review widget is that if I assign it to a user, I give a user permission to the simple review widget, but I only give them permission to the simple review widget and nothing more. It will create, if you will, a walled garden type review interface. and I really want to show that to you. So I'm going to log out here and log in as a user that, again, has only been given access to the simple review widget. And let's see how it looks for them. So we're going to log back in as Stefan here. And it's going to go ahead and load. And the moment it sees that he has access only to the simple review widget, it's going to say, oh, hold on, I need to load this data, this environment differently than I load the other environments. And I'm only going to give him access to, again, the walled review environment or walled garden review environment, however you want to refer to it, associated with the simple review. So here we go. And there you go. Look, it's so significantly different than logging into any other sort of quinc environment. They have a very clean interface, summary data about the cases they have access to. They can select a case or cases. They can go and open that case, and it will give them summary information about the case. And they can then go click on an evidence or click on file types or whatever. All of these are filters that they can utilize. And then they can go and go forward there. And you can see that it filters the data based on, in this case, we selected just that evidence, and then we selected, and then it shows us the file types associated with that evidence. Not a heck of a lot interesting to look at here in terms of the data, but let me show you how the interface works. If you minimize this left panel or even the grid, the viewer opens up a little bit more significantly. Let me minimize both of them so we can see a little better. And what it does is it offers you a bunch of additional functionality associated with reviewing of documents. It'll offer you conversation threads, if there are threads, document families, near dupes, and properties of a document. It will offer you the ability to tag the document or bookmark the document or create a note or even download the document. So it's a much more functional review experience than you might associate with the traditional quinc viewer. In addition, you can navigate the documents by going next or previous. Obviously, you can run searches and all that kind of stuff as well. So hopefully this is a good overview of the key features in the April release. There are videos, or the videos are going to be produced on all of these features independently, and certainly go much more in depth into this widget. So if you're interested in learning more, go ahead and look for those videos in the future. But thank you for your time, and I hope this was helpful.